was learning, round about the same time, that Robert Vaughn has died.
Yes.
The man from Uncle.
The man from Uncle. The original man from Uncle.
Honestly, when we were a kid at school, right, I was at King's School, Chester Junior School, I was at both, your junior and senior, you know.
Was he Napoleon Solo?
He was Napoleon Solo, but I was in the Man from Uncle Club.
What?
I was in the Man from Uncle Club.
What was that about?
Well, in some comic, like The Hornies or something, you filled in a form and, do you want to join the Man from Uncle Club?
What did you get for being in the Man from Uncle
Well,
Club?
you got a membership card, you are an uncle agent and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
And then, I think it was all a contract.
Did you know anyone else that was in the Man from Uncle Club?
Yeah, everybody in school was. We all joined,
Right.
But the other thing is, because I'm sure this must have been one of the earliest marketing ploys I fell for, it said something like, Napoleon Solo uses a Beretta, whatever it was, gun, and you can buy one of these for £8.99.
Right.
And then you
So they just sold you a load of tack.
Exactly.
Right.
Then you urge your mum and dad to order me a gun, And
I had a Man from Uncle car, I remember. And it was
you?
quite a clever car, because it had a sort of thing that you pressed on the top. And when you pressed this thing on the top, either Ilya Kuryakin or Napoleon Solo came out of either window shooting a gun.
That's brilliant.
It was a great car.
I tell you what, that was the first attempt, wasn't it, to bring peace between the East and the West? Because Napoleon Solo was an American, and Ilya Kuryakin was supposed to be a Russian.
And did Uncle not stand for something?
It stood
like how Spectre stood for something.
No, it stood for the United Nations Command for Law and Enforcement.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it was called.
You see, that's brilliant. You can remember that.
Exactly, And Ilya Kuryakin, who was Scottish, by the way.
Yes.
Remember
it was somebody McCallum.
David McCallum. He was Scottish, used to talk with the Russian accent. Napoleon, you were always chasing the women. Why is this, Right. And I remember once they were stranded in the desert, right? Literally, like somebody had dumped them in the middle of the Sahara, and all that kind of stuff. And they're crawling on their hands and knees, and Napoleon Solo says, geez, Ilya, what I'd give for a glass of bubbly now, a glass of champagne. And of course, Ilya Kuryakin says, well, Napoleon, I would settle kindly for a glass of water. He was colourless Russian guy, you know what I mean?
Did you not say he was also in Coronation Street, this guy, Robert Vaughn?
Robert Vaughn, what happened was, in Coronation Street, there's a cafe, and it's run by Roy, who actually plays the role of the world's most boring man to perfection.
Right.
To perfection, the most normal and boring man in the world who likes trains and all this kind of stuff. And his mother turns up, and she's the complete opposite. She's a flashy, brash, outspoken woman, always hitting Roy around the head and all this kind of stuff. And she turns up with an American boyfriend because she's been on a cruise.
So how did they convince him to go into Coronation Street?
Well, he was a lifelong actor. I mean, I remember him giving some interview once when he was in some new show saying that's all he liked doing, you know what I mean?
Well, he was in The Hustle, wasn't he?
He was in The Hustle.
Quite a well-known show.
That's right, he was in The Hustle. He's the last member of the Magnificent Seven to die, which is another great statistic.
Well?
Yeah, he was one of the seven, and so that's him gone from there. So he was in Bonanza, I'm reading here as well.
Really?
Didn't realise that.
Yeah.
But I thought he was the absolute epitome of the smooth American. And I can't remember which show it was, but he was definitely in an American political one where he would wear, the overcoat, the black leather gloves, getting out of the black limos in Washington and all that. And he absolutely suited it down to the ground. You know what I mean?
Oh, he was. No, he was one
American
of those...
smoothie.
He was one of those very, very sort of... He was almost like one of those guys you thought would have been something like Heart to Heart or something like that.
Yeah, that's right,
But I don't know if he was in that or not.
No, it wasn't Heart to Heart. That was Robert... no, it was another Robert, wasn't it? Oh, no. But Stephanie Powers. Robert Wagner and Stephanie Powers, yeah. But very sad, because he came on the same day as Leonard Cohen.
Have you still got your Man from Uncle Club stuff?
No, I haven't. No, that went years ago. And by the way, I was getting a bit of stick yesterday, just expressing my opinion that Leonard Cohen's music was rather boring.
Well, because you were rather ungracious about it. I think people were upset because of the fact that you announced that he was dead with a sort of a rather unfortunate tinge of glee.
No,
it was almost as though
I
you were
didn't.
glad that he was dead.
No, well, that's completely untrue. I said it's very sorry to see that Leonard Cohen's
well,
gone.
within the same breath, you said his music was rubbish.
I
said it was boring, and would make people throw themselves off a bridge. I mean, you just were really very unkind to him.
No, I wasn't. What I said was, and perhaps people, misinterpreted it and put the two statements together. I said, quite frankly, some of his music, perhaps it's an unfortunate expression, would have bored me to death.
I think it was a bit of an unfortunate expression.
So perhaps somebody took us.
No, I just thought
I'll apologise.
You were very. There's no need to apologise. I mean, it was just very. In your usual way, you have no appreciation of music, so you didn't like anything that he did, and you didn't think that he had any influence on anybody at all. Yeah. I actually spent quite a lot of yesterday listening to some Leonard Cohen music and feeling rather.
Did you have anything better to do?
Well, no, because I had it on in the background. Because the thing about Leonard Cohen, and whenever somebody like that dies, you play their music, and I felt rather nice about it.
I spent yesterday on the coast, actually. I had to go down and sort out a bit of property business, and I have to say, it was a magnificent day.
Was it?
And you know that she's half crazy, but that's why you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China.